In one of the most shocking trades in recent NBA history, or in NBA history as a whole, Luka Doncic has been traded to the Los Angeles Lakers for Anthony Davis and a first-round pick. I believe Max Christie was a part of that deal, a couple other role players. Utah Jazz took on some salary. I mean, this is just ridiculous. This is crazy. I couldn't even film a reaction video right after it happened because I'm still processing thoughts from this craziness that just happened. Luka Doncic was a franchise piece for the Dallas Mavericks that no one thought would ever get traded, including myself. And that's still the thing that I can't really wrap my head around. The Dallas Mavericks made the NBA Finals last year. They beat the Oklahoma City Thunder. They beat the Minnesota Timberwolves. In theory, when Luka came back healthy, this Dallas Mavericks team was going to catapult up the standings like they did last year, and they were going to be an NBA Finals contender once again. But now Luka Doncic is traded. Now the Mavericks essentially gave up on a 25-year-old in his, or entering his prime even, not even in his prime yet, a 25-year-old entering his prime that's essentially an all-NBA caliber player when he's healthy for a 31-year-old Anthony Davis and a future first-round pick. I'll hold off on my thoughts on the Mavericks real quick. Let's talk about the Lakers here. Wow, first of all, they had a great showing against the Knicks last night. LeBron was incredible in Madison Square Garden. And then just a couple of hours later, we get this huge news. Short-term impact, the Lakers, you could argue, are true contenders. We saw the Dorian Finney-Smith move a couple of months ago, and we were like, you know what? This is a good step in the right direction for the Lakers, but not enough to make them a contender. But now you add a guy like Luka Doncic who can take some of the pressure off of LeBron with the ball handling abilities, scoring abilities, playmaking abilities on the perimeter. You add a guy like Luka Doncic and you still have pieces that you can trade to fill at least somewhat of the hole that Anthony Davis left as a defensive player. And yeah, the Lakers are contenders now. The Lakers are probably one of the 6 or 7 best teams in the NBA with Luka Doncic, and if they make a trade that I think they will, because right now that projected starting lineup would look like Luka at the point guard, Austin Reeves at the shooting guard, LeBron James at the small forward, Rui Hachimura or Dorian Finney-Smith. Maybe they put DFS in the starting lineup because of his familiarity with Luka. And then at the 5, you have Jackson Hayes, though I fully expect the Lakers to at least attempt or really try to find that 5-man like a Walker Kessler, though I don't think they have the pieces to do that anymore. Or maybe a cheaper option, Robert Williams in Portland. I know they've been playing him a little bit more to get his trade value up. Someone of that nature, a defensive-minded center who can come in and help this defense that will be struggling. That is the one thing that holds me back from saying the Lakers are a top 5 team in the NBA. We all know about Luka's defensive efforts, not the highest. At times in the playoffs last year, it was pretty solid, but at this current point in time, I don't fully trust that, especially with a backcourt of him and Austin Reeves and then LeBron still on the perimeter. I would not fully trust that defense, but that offense is going to be pretty much unstoppable. I don't know what perimeter defense is going to stop Luka and LeBron. There's only one team who could do that. And that's also why I think this trade is great for the Lakers, because this year, the Western Conference, while it's very great, it's still a little bit wide open. You have that top tier contender in the Thunder who look like juggernauts, of course. But then after that, you have the Rockets at the 2 seed who are still very young. Then you have the Grizzlies who have been very good this year, but don't have really the superstar level talent to match up with any of the other teams near the even just the bottom of the Western Conference. Then you have the Nuggets, like I said. The Nuggets have their issues. They have the star power. They don't really have much of the depth. And then you just keep going down the line, and you could mention flaws with every team, including the Lakers, I will say, but now their case has gotten so much better. You get a guy like Luka Doncic, who is a playoff riser. In the big moments, he does not choke. He comes in and he gets better. And you add him to a team with LeBron James, and it's just going to be magic. It's going to be magic in the regular season, and I guarantee it's going to be magic in the playoffs. So the Lakers at this point may be the 2nd or 3rd best team in the Western Conference, and I don't really see how they're going to be stopped by any of the teams below them at this point in time. And a couple of the teams above them in the standings, I believe they're the 5th seed right now, they'd play the Nuggets in the first round, which of course they'd play the Nuggets in the first round. But a lot of NBA fans are thinking that that the Nuggets are pretty much the Lakers' kryptonite, and the Lakers really can't get past the Western Conference if they can't get past the Nuggets. Well, now you have Luka Doncic, so there's not much more that you'd want from a guy to stop the Nuggets than a guy like Luka Doncic who can pretty much do it all. I don't know who's going to stop Luka Doncic in Denver. The only team that really does stack up with them, like I was saying, is Oklahoma City, right? Oklahoma City does have the perimeter defenders to at least contain both of those guys, but can they over a 7-game series? That is the real question. Now, we haven't seen the Oklahoma City Thunder fully healthy yet. We're still waiting on Chet Holmgren, but even still, this is a young team. Last year, they lost in the second round to Luka Doncic, and we'll see how they fare. If the Lakers and Thunder do match up in the playoffs, we will see how they fare against Luka Doncic 1 year later. Looking at the standings, that matchup would happen in the second round. You'd get Lakers would have to beat the Nuggets, and they'd have to beat the Thunder. That might be the ideal situation, though. I'd like to get those matchups out early so that I can face a more young, unexperienced team on the other side of the bracket in the conference finals before I go to the finals. But of course, that's all looking ahead. We don't even know if the Lakers or how the Lakers are going to perform. They could catapult up the standings. Maybe the gelling situation with Luka might take some time, which I feel like is more likely than not. This Luka trade, it's going to be great in the long term, but in the first 10 to 15 games, I wouldn't expect too much if I'm a Lakers fan. However, it definitely still could be crazy. It's Luka Doncic we're talking about. So the Lakers, the reason why I'm rambling so much, this is crazy. Even just 10, 11 hours later, I don't know how to react and how to respond to this trade. This is just so unforeseen, and I guess we can kind of focus now on the Mavericks side of the trade. So trading Luka Doncic at 25 years old was definitely not in the cards for this upcoming trade deadline. Luka Doncic is pretty much, when he's healthy, an All-NBA first-team caliber player. He was for, I believe, the past 4 or 5 years in a row. He is a guaranteed top 3 player in the NBA when he's healthy. Luka Doncic is incredible. This is the same guy who led this franchise to the NBA Finals just 8 months ago, and now he's gone. Now he is traded away from the franchise. Now, from some of the reports that we've been seeing, it kind of makes sense why. If Luka Doncic has really been ignoring his diet, ignoring things that the Mavericks thought were key to his future, I could understand why the Mavericks were upset, why the Mavericks wanted to trade Luka Doncic. With all that being said, Luka Doncic is not worth a 31-year-old and a first-round pick. No offense to Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis is an incredible player, but I think the thing that also shocked me the most about this trade is how little the Mavericks got in return. If you think back to some of the other blockbuster trades in NBA history, even just, I think I've seen this comparison, the Paul George trade. The Thunder got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who at that time wasn't a superstar, but he still had signs of potential from that 1 year with the Clippers. They got Danilo Gallinari, who's a solid role player, and then they got like 5 or 6 first-round picks. The Mavericks have a younger, better player in Luka Doncic, and the Mavericks trade him away for Anthony Davis and one singular first-round pick. They don't even get both of them. The Lakers had 2 coveted first-round picks that were really rumored heavily in trades. They don't even get both. This trade might reset the trade market. This might be something that, these are some consequences that I don't think many people have thought of. Luka Doncic getting traded for 1 player and 1 first-round pick, I don't care how good that player is. 1 player and 1 first-round pick is ridiculous. And we've seen trades like for Mikal Bridges where the Knicks gave up 5 or 6 first-round picks. I don't know if that happens anymore. If Luka Doncic gets traded for 1 first-round pick, how much is a guy like Jimmy Butler going to get traded for? A guy who's been clearly unhappy with the Miami Heat since the very start of the season. A guy who very clearly has stated that he wants out. I don't know if I'd give up more than 1 or 2 first-round picks. If Luka Doncic is only getting it traded for 1, why am I giving up more than 1 first-round pick for Jimmy Butler? In the end, I think this Luka Doncic trade is the most shocking, not because he's moved on from Dallas, so that is incredibly shocking. It's because the Mavericks really didn't get that much in return. They got Anthony Davis in a first-round pick. And again, I'm kind of harping on Anthony Davis. I'll talk about why he may fit with the Mavericks in just a little bit, but just the pure shock of Luka Doncic getting traded is crazy. It's like if the Thunder traded Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, if the Bucks traded Giannis. It's just ridiculous and something that I still can't wrap my mind around. So now I kind of want to talk about the Mavericks, why they made this deal. We talked about Luka's health concerns, but also I believe Nico Harrison, the Mavericks GM, made it clear that they prioritize defense on their team. They believe that defense wins championships. I believe that's a direct quote. And they valued a guy like Anthony Davis, who is a incredible defender, all defensive caliber center, or power forward, I guess, in this new team, and an All-NBA player offensively. Anthony Davis is great, don't get me wrong. I have been kind of talking down on him. I don't mean to necessarily. This is a guy in the middle of his prime who has been really great for the Lakers over the past 4 years. Well, up and down, but over the past year and a half, I'd say he's been really great for the Lakers. And I think he's going to be a good fit in Dallas. Again, nothing like what Luka was for Dallas, but Anthony Davis does bring the defense, like they said. He brings a new quality of we need to win now, right? With Luka, you could kind of say, oh, well, we got Luka for the rest of his career. We have time. Right now, the Dallas Mavericks are in win now mode. They have Kyrie Irving. They have Anthony Davis. They have pieces that they can trade. It's time to get the guys that you need so you can compete for a title over the next 2 to 3 years. Because let's face it, while we have guys like LeBron James, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, guys over 35 years old who are great, that's not the average case in the NBA. Anthony Davis, let's face it, Anthony Davis has not been the most healthy in the past couple of seasons. He's had his problems with injuries. Do we really trust him to be this great in 5 years? Definitely not. Kyrie Irving's had his struggles with injuries in the past. He is 32 years old. Do we trust Kyrie to be the same guy in 5 years? Probably not. These are good players at the moment. In fact, they are great all-NBA caliber players at the moment. But in 3 to 5 years, I can almost bet that they won't be. So if that's the case, the starting lineup would look like Kyrie Irving, I guess Klay Thompson, PJ Washington, Anthony Davis, and Daniel Gafford. I mean, on paper, it's a good lineup like 6 years ago, but look, there's no perimeter defense with Klay and Kyrie. That's the biggest problem. I understand wanting to beef up your defense in the paint because that is extremely important. That's where the majority of your shots are going to be. But it doesn't matter if your paint defense is beefed up if you got Luka Doncic cooking Kyrie Irving, if you got LeBron James cooking Klay Thompson. They need another perimeter defender. They need to make a trade for that in the next couple of days. And then you look at the spacing on the court. You got Klay Thompson. That's great. But PJ Washington is your 3. PJ Washington is not a great three-point shooter. He's good, but he's not great. And he's not great enough to be your small forward, especially in the modern NBA. Anthony Davis has always struggled shooting, especially from beyond the arc. He is not a three-point shooter. Daniel Gafford can't even give you a reliable 10-foot jumper. I don't see how a guy like Kyrie Irving can go to work when the spacing is just awful, when you have two guys clogging up the paint in Davis and Gafford. Though Davis will probably be more on the block, more in the mid-range, it's still there. You have guys inside the arc. It clogs up space. It's going to be tough for Kyrie Irving and other perimeter players on that team to adjust to having two big men on the floor pretty much at all times. So I don't necessarily know how this fit is going to work. Of course, like with the Lakers, I think the Mavericks will eventually be good. I believe right now they're the 8th or the 9th seed, maybe. And eventually, by the time the season's over, I could see them being 6, maybe 5. But there is going to be a gelling period that I don't know if the Mavericks have taken into account. This year might be a wash for the Mavericks. You gotta gel these guys together so that they can be good next year. So right now, the Mavericks might be a first, second round playoff exit at this moment, when before they were still, in my mind, a championship contender if Luka came back healthy and ready to play. But I guess that is what this trade kind of comes down to. The Mavericks didn't trust Luka long term, so they traded him away. And I understand the reasoning. I just don't understand how you couldn't get much more for Luka Doncic. And I kind of touched on this earlier, but I think the last thing to ask ourselves is, what's next for the NBA? The trade deadline is this Thursday at, I believe, 2 p.m., and there's still a lot of big names who are rumored to be moved, including Jimmy Butler. And there's a lot of supporting role players who could come in and help a team like the Lakers make the NBA Finals. A lot of role players like for the Mavericks that could help them make a deeper playoff run than what I expect them to make. There's guys like that who are going to be on the move in the next couple of days. And this trade could really impact the way other teams view the Lakers. Maybe other teams are more hesitant to give the Lakers better role players because they're like, hey, we don't want this to be a dynasty or a thing that we run into in the next 3 to 5 years. This could also be a thing for the Mavericks. Hey, we don't want to give them more help in the current because they're more positioned to win now, maybe slightly more than they were with Luka, though I might disagree with that statement that I just said because Luka just brought them to an NBA Finals, and I don't know if this team can go to the NBA Finals considering what they have, especially because they are just a little bit below the luxury tax. I don't know how much more salary they can take on. So overall, I'm just curious how this trade resets the trade market because this shocking of news, this can't come without repercussions for the NBA. I'm just sure everyone's mind is blown. And from what we see from the media so far, this was just completely unexpected. Maybe the most unexpected trade in NBA history and all of sports history. This feels so crazy to say, but it's true. Luka Doncic is a Los Angeles Laker. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening to me ramble about this trade for how many ever minutes I went. Leave a like, subscribe to the channel for more NBA videos. And with that, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.